But up first, we've got some breaking news ahead of malls and restaurants, as well as hotels and places of worship opening on Monday. The centre has now released guidelines for such places that they need to follow. AC temperatures in malls, for example, should be kept between 24 and 30 degrees Celsius. Gaming arcades, children's play areas, cinema halls inside malls will all remain closed. All right, let's introduce our guests now. Joining me on this special edition of Swabhiman Bharat to try and understand what is it going to be like if you're in the restaurant business or the hotel business or the mall business in the foreseeable future as they begin to open up starting Monday. I'm now joined by a very special guest. Priya Paul is the chairperson of the Park Group of Hotels. A.D. Singh is the restaurateur and the MD of the Olive Group. Dr. Ashutosh Raghuvangshi is the MD and CEO of Fortis Healthcare. And Arjun Sharma is the chairman of... Let me go across now to Arjun Sharma, who runs the select group of malls across Delhi, NCR, and of course across the country. One of the big concerns, Mr. Sharma, has been, retailers, or even for that matter, restaurateurs who are inside malls. For the last 3 months, they've been shut out of business. There was this famous clip of a very famous restaurant chain owner, which went viral over the weekend, talking about how he has no money and he's asking patrons to support him. Do you think that this is going to be a big point of friction between mall managements and the retailers inside? Because the retailers, many of them are saying that, look, we don't have money to be paying these high fixed costs, these high rentals to you folks.
Yes, these are indeed challenging times for retailers, for shopping centers, and for the whole world, actually, really. And no industry has been spared it. We've been dealing with this lockdown now for 3 months approximately. And I think over time, we've had several dialogues with all our retailers, be it restaurateurs, bars, cinemas, apparel. And I guess we are working out solutions for them. We understand their pain. But they also understand our pain, because really at the end of the day, we can only give what we've got. And all that we've got is about a 6 months moratorium on our interest payment. There's nothing else that we've got. But however, we still understand that especially the restaurant industry is going to face some pains. So I guess there will be some sort of a formula which will be of reasonableness. But I think retailers will also have to realize that they'll also have to kind of bear some of that. If they expect that only shopping centers or the high streets will absorb it, I think that's going to be very tough. But I think if both sides approach it with reasonableness, I think there is already a winning formula. And I think we're already having very good dialogues.
Yeah, can you give me a ballpark figure? I mean, I don't want you to go into the details, but ballpark figure of the number of retailers across the country in your different malls who are actually asking you for a revised terms for rentals.
Oh, everybody. You must realize that everybody's had this problem. Retail has really suffered it. Restaurants and hospitality and travel and tourism has taken it on the brunt, on the chin completely. So I guess everybody is doing it. And, it's not just, ironically, it's not just these small companies. It's even the big companies. I don't want to name them, but some of the biggest businesses and some of the biggest banks also are asking their landlords to renegotiate the rent. So I guess that's fine. This is what happens. And I think we all have to work together to find a reasonable solution to it.
Let me go to Mr. Arjun Sharma. And one of the things, again, I'm very curious about this, is that researchers have found that this virus obviously spreads much faster indoors and indoor settings than it does in outdoors. Now, I know malls have a mix of indoors and outdoors. I mean, you use your outdoors largely for, flea markets and some shows and stuff like that. But do you think architecturally itself, maybe because of the pandemic, you might have to rewire the way, your malls are arranged and designed?
So, if you look at the guidelines that just came out maybe half an hour back from the Ministry of Health, there is a whole section on air conditioning, especially with shopping centers. Now, I must say the Ministry of Home, the NDMA, the Ministry of Health have all worked with the Shopping Center Association of India. Actually, these are our guidelines, and these are the guidelines that we have given to them from learning from literally across the world, where shopping centers have opened in, for example, China, in the United States, in Dubai. And we have worked along with what are called the CPWD guidelines, on air conditioning. So what's really happened is that in order to make this as safe as possible, we're going to follow the CPWD guidelines, which are very clear on humidity, temperature, fresh intake. Yes, it adds a bit of cost to our operations. It adds because the more fresh air that you get into the system, more you have to cool the place. But I think for the moment, these guidelines are very thorough. They've been well worked out with the industry, and I must congratulate the government that at least there is a lot of clarity. So, for instance, I don't know if you saw the past guidelines. There was this one funny rule that said there should be only 5 or 6 people in a store. Now, if you have a 25,000 square foot H&M or a Zara or a Pantaloon, you can only take 5 people. And if you, let's say, have a Forest Essential store, which is 500 square feet, you can also have 5. So I think they've clarified a lot around that. And I think we as the shopping center will go cross some of these guidelines. So for example, we are saying that we will not take more than 75 square foot or 100 square foot per person in the shopping centers. So I think we will exercise even more concern. These norms are the base level. And I think as shopping centers,
all right, we've lost that audio link with Mr. Sharma. We'll try and repatch that in a second. But Mr. Raghuvanshi, I'll get the final word from you. And again, it's related to travel because, medical tourism, as it were, was a big churner, a revenue churner for you folks. Do you see that coming back in the way that it existed the pre-COVID times?
Absolutely. I think, there was a need for people to travel for complex procedures. In many geographies around, it's not available. So I think that is only a matter of time as the travel restrictions ease out. I think that business will be back because that's a very pressing need, not only the international patients, but within the country. I think there is a lot of movement happens where people travel from one city to the other or one region to the other. And that business is absolutely going to be back whenever the travel restrictions ease out.
All right. So we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much. It's been a fascinating conversation, this. Dr. Raghuvanshi, Mr. Sharma, Mr. Singh, and Priya Paul, of course. Thanks very much for joining us. And good luck to all of you. We need you guys just as much as, you need us. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you. Cheers.
All right. So with that, it's a wrap of Swabhiman Bharat, this special edition on how to kickstart the restaurant, malls, and hospitality sector. That's a wrap of this special edition. This goes up on our website, news18.com, from me, Zaka Jacob, and the rest of the team.